Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Charles Coachman. And this is Bay Area Let's Talk Music. Bay Area Let's Talk Music. Hey, if you want to reach me, you can reach me by cell at 408-439-0766, either call or text. And if you'd like to reach me by email, go to Bay Area Let's Talk at gmail.com. Bay Area Let's Talk at gmail.com. Let's take a quick look here and see what we have got. Shout outs. Tom Bogowski. Big Tom, as I like to call him. He is 6'8". He's an insurance salesman back in Pennsylvania. So Tom, happy birthday to you. Wishing you all the best. And the next fella is David A. Flores, who is just one of the people that I know from real estate, from here in the Silicon Valley, that is just one of the best guys that I've gotten to know over the last 14 years. He is a wonderful guy, just a good friend to me. Love the guy. And hey, baby doll. Hey, baby doll, happy birthday to you. Wishing you all the best, David. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. I have got my cat, Tux, who is back here tearing at my chair. So we are arguing about that. Apparently, he says he won. So we're going to name him the winner. And let's see what else we've got. I like to talk about the companies that we are using. Come on, baby. Companies that we're using to go live. And number one is the Grow Live Academy. That's a Ken Walls company. GrowLiveAcademy.com. And Ken Walls has put together a wonderful, wonderful program to go ahead and teach how to go live. Teach you not only about the equipment to use, but to actually get everything figured out and all the programs that are available to use. Now, I use a minimal amount of programs to get this done. And this is what I've got right here. That's it. A nice Logitech camera, Blue mic. And it is, I think, a pretty fair piece of equipment. So that's just a few $100. AnyVoo, and then the Grow Live Academy, teaching you how to do all the stuff. And then the company that we're using as the platform for this is StreamYard.com, and just a wonderful platform to use. And they are improving every single day. And then the company that I use to keep in touch with my clients these days is Hippo Video. HippoVideo.com. They're just wonderful, wonderful people to work with. And again, they have products that are worth every penny. So we're there. Bay Area Let's Talk Music. Let's check something out here. Let's take a quick look. Scott Ricard. Hey, Scott. Really, and I'm going to assume really for Music Friday. I've been dealing with Music Friday for several hours here. And boy, I pulled a Ken Walls right now where I just, we were all the way across town. It's about 15 miles across town, taking our dog to a vet. Our little tiny dog, which I now have decided is a mini werewolf, because that's kind of what she looks like. She's a little mixed breed, I can't even think of what it is right now. Two small breeds, but one of them is hairless Chihuahua. And she's got hair, but it comes out in like mats. So I just said she kind of looks like a werewolf. As a matter of fact, a mini werewolf, because she's like 6 pounds. So a mini werewolf. And she is a delight, but she's got all sorts of little problems. And, you know, you got to take them to the vet and make sure that they're all taken care of. You got to keep their Operating systems up to date. Hey, Ernest Odell, thank you for sharing out, man. We certainly appreciate it. Glad to see you on our Music Friday. All right. So yeah, our little I can't even think of what it is. If it's a Pekingese or if it's I can't even think of what the name is, but it is a small breed. A small breed. Yes, you did. Bruce, you saw the countdown timer, but it was only for about 13 seconds, I think. Something like that. Only for a few seconds. I'm not going to give them the whole 30. I'm not that good to listen to. So today, this day in rock, we're going to get right into it. And one of the guys, it's a birthday of one of the guys from the band that I'm going to be talking about today. And it's Paul Kantner, born on this date in 1942. Paul Kantner of Jefferson Airplane and Jefferson Starship, born on this date in 1942. 1942, and he died a few years back. It's always sad to hear about the guys passing on, because these bands that I loved as I was growing up. Now, I was in high school really before I began to enjoy Jefferson Airplane, and by then they had become Jefferson Starship. So, you know, Paul Kantner, he just died a few years back, but he was a big part of Jefferson Airplane and then Jefferson Starship, which the band Jefferson Airplane basically turned into. There were a couple of bands that they formed. One being, and I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Was it Moby Grape? I can't remember. I'm thinking it was Moby Grape, but I could certainly be wrong. I'm not going to worry about it right now. But anyway, most of the band members decided they were going to go and form their own band, and they became Jefferson Starship, which later then turned into the Starship. So we're going to go from there. And born on this date in 1948, James Taylor, singer-songwriter James Taylor, born in Boston. And of course, he had a #1 song with You've Got a Friend, which was written by Carole King. And a lot of Carole King's big album that she put out in the same year was about James Taylor, because they had a big breakup. It's Too Late, or I think It's Too Late was definitely about James Taylor. But You've Got a Friend, one of those big hits, and then of course Fire and Rain, just an awesome song. And the last concert that I got to take my mom to, and went with my sister and my wife, we went to see James Taylor and Carole King, and it was a fabulous night. The last time that got to really enjoy a night out with my mom was that night, and it was a special night because Carole King was one of those people that my mom truly enjoyed. And that night with those two playing was just a special night. Us and 18,000 of our closest friends. Let's see. On this date in 1957, Marlon Jackson of the Jackson 5. Marlon Jackson of the Jackson 5 was born. And of course, he was part of the Jackson 5 throughout this time of all the Jackson hits. The Beatles in 1965 wrap up their location shooting for Help. They ended it right then. Jose Feliciano in this date in 1969 wins a Grammy as new artist. And of course that song, and one of the big songs that he was really known to, was known for was a Doors song, Light My Fire. Light My Fire. And his version was so good. I can remember one of my friends, after we were out of high school, we were huge Doors fans. We were kind of kids that went to school, high school in the 70s and had become 60s music fans. And his dad came in and says, "Have you ever heard this song by Jose Feliciano? It's one of the best songs ever. You kids should be listening to this." And we're in there listening to the Doors, Light My Fire. And of course, he was talking about Jose Feliciano singing, "Come On Baby, Light My Fire." Just one of the best. One of the best. On this date, in 1974, John Lennon and Harry Nilsson were at a club in LA listening to the Smothers Brothers comedy act at the Troubadour Club. They are both drunk and heckling and get forcibly removed from this small nightclub, small but famous nightclub in LA, the Troubadour Club. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You're the bouncer that says, "All right, you two, hey, I don't care if you're a Beatle, you're out of here." How did that work out? Well, they booted them both out. They were just both drunk off their A's. So they got their help out. They got moved. This date in 1983, Welsh singer Bonnie Tyler had her only UK number one. What was it? Total Eclipse of the Heart. Total Eclipse of the Heart, her only number one. Of course, I think after you sang that song about 1,000,000 times, your voice would be gone, because that was one raspy voice that she had singing. One raspy voice. Thomas, it's so good to see you. It has got to be late at home. Got to be late. So thanks for joining us. And guys, thank you all for joining us. Let's flip through here. I have been on the run this afternoon, like I was saying, taking our dog to the vet. So I thought we were going to be home in plenty of time to get everything up and ready, but we weren't. 1994, Pat Benatar and her husband, Neil Giraldo, become the parents of their daughter, Hannah Juliana. On this date in let's see if I've got this right, 1996, Nancy Sinatra donates her white go-go boots. From these boots are made for walking. She donates them to the Hard Rock Cafe in Beverly Hills. Hard Rock Cafe in Beverly Hills. Wow. What a song that was. I remember thinking, and I'm a little kid, I am 10 years old, I think, when that song came out. Maybe not 10, maybe not quite 10, maybe 8. And I'm going, look at that lady. Wow. These boots are made for walking. In 1999, and you know what? I actually didn't see this. In 1999, private funeral for Dusty Springfield, who died earlier in the week of breast cancer in 1999 on this date. That's a sad, sad time, because I love Dusty Springfield. She had one of the greatest voices of all time. She was one hell of a singer. One hell of a singer. In 2001 on this date, Judy Garland's Over the Rainbow was named Song of the Century. Over the Rainbow, Song of the Century. And you know what? I've heard some versions of that song that have just been amazing. Let's see. In 2006, Bob Geldof is honored with a special achievement accolade in Germany's Industry Annual Echo Awards in Berlin. He had, of course, been one of the backers behind a Live Aid, and then his battle to help people survive what was going on and what continues to go on in many parts of Africa. So, Bob Geldof, good deal, man. Good deal. All right. We are going to turn to Jefferson Airplane. And this is our spotlight group. Jefferson Airplane was a terrific, terrific group. They were formed right around 1965. They were one of the groups, the only groups that played in the top festivals, all the top festivals that were going on, and especially locally, because they played the Monterey Pop Festival, they played at Woodstock, they played at the Altamont Free Concert in 1969 for the Rolling Stones, where it had been scheduled for the Grateful Dead to be there, but that didn't happen. And they also played at the Isle of Wight Festival in 1968. 1968. Can you think about the songs that they played? What songs did they play that had an influence on you? What songs did they play? And I'm just talking about Bay Area bands. What songs did they play that really got you thinking? Somebody to Love, White Rabbit. I liked Volunteers. And then there was, I believe it was Marty Balin that wrote It's No Secret. And I loved their music. For a kid coming out of high school, I didn't listen to a lot of it while I was in high school. I certainly didn't listen to it while I was a young kid. Although in the Bay Area, you heard White Rabbit and Somebody to Love quite often. Quite often. Let's talk about the members of the group. The group was formed Jefferson Airplane. The group from 1966 to 70 was Marty Balin on vocals, Paul Kantner on guitar and vocal, Grace Slick on vocals, Jorma Kaukonen on lead guitar and vocals, Jack Cassidy at bass, Spencer Dryden on drums, and they were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1996. Marty Balin left the group in 1971. After 1972, Jefferson Airplane split into two groups, and this is where I messed up. Kaukonen and Cassidy formed Hot Tuna. Now, where I grew up in the Bay Area. Hot Tuna was one of the hottest bands playing all the local music scenes, all the local venues. If you could fit 50 people in there, Hot Tuna was playing. And so I lived on a street, and right behind us was the fairgrounds. And in the fairgrounds, they had a skating rink, and that skating rink was also used for concerts. So there they were, Hot Tuna. Of course, we also had Lynyrd Skynyrd that played there the following. Let's see, Hot Tuna played there in 1973, and Lynyrd Skynyrd played there in 1974, and right after that, they popped big time. It must have been Antioch. Antioch's influence on Lynyrd Skynyrd. So Hot Tuna became, Kaukonen and Cassidy became Hot Tuna. Slick, Kantner, and the remaining members of Jefferson Airplane, and they recruited a couple of new members and became Jefferson Starship in 1974. Marty Balin rejoined them later on. Later on, he rejoined them, but they were one of the greatest groups around. So let's talk about how they started. Balin met folk music musician Paul Kantner at a local club, the Drinking Gourd. Kantner, a native San Francisco, had started out performing on the Bay Area folk music scene. All these guys were folk music people. Everything came into folk, from folk music to acid music. And that's what it was like. They played around there with Jerry Garcia, David Crosby, Janis Joplin. Kantner had cited folk groups like the Kingston Trio and the Weavers as strong early influences. He briefly moved to LA in 1964 to work with a duo with future Airplane Starship member David Freiberg, who subsequently joined Quicksilver Messenger Service, which was another one of my favorite groups. Ballot and Kantner then brought together a couple of other people. One of them was the original singer called Signe Tolley Anderson, a lady singer who did a good job for him. But soon she was pregnant. Within the next couple of years, she was pregnant and decided that, you know what, that was going to be the end of her time with the band. In the meantime, two significant concerts featuring the Airplane were held in late 1965. The first was a historic dance at the Longshoremen's Hall in San Francisco, the first of many happenings in the Bay Area. The Jefferson Airplane had been backed, or the group that led up for them was a group called the Great Society. They had a lead singer named Grace Slick, because Grace Slick was not the original lead singer of Jefferson Airplane. So that led to Grace Slick's contract being bought out from the Great Society. Grace Slick was purchased for $750, at least her contract was. The group's first single was Balance, It's No Secret. He wrote it with Otis Redding in mind, he says. Jefferson Airplane took off, doing a lot of concerts. They did everything that they could. Now, Slick's recruitment proved pivotal to the Airplane's commercial success. She possessed a powerful, supple contralto voice and had complemented balance and was well suited to the group's amplified psychedelic music. And a former model, her good looks and stage presence greatly enhanced the group's live impact. Grace Slick had brought over White Rabbit from the Great Society. It was a song she had written. She brought it over. It was on the Great Society had put out one single, and it was the B side of the single. It certainly sounds a lot different than the single and the version that Jefferson Airplane put out. Surrealistic Pillow, and Slick provided two songs from her previous group, White Rabbit and Somebody to Love, written by her brother-in-law, Darby Slick. Both songs became breakout successes for Jefferson Airplane. Breakout successes. Around the beginning of 1967, Bill Graham took over from Bill Thompson as manager. In January, the group made their first visit to the East Coast on January 14th alongside the Grateful Dead, Quicksilver Messenger Service. Jefferson Airplane headlined the Human Being. The Human Being, the famous all-day happening in Golden Gate Park, one of the key events leading up to the Summer of Love. When I was a kid, we heard all about this. We got to go over and see the hippies. We have to see what those hippies are up to. We got to look out for them. In addition to the group's two best-known tracks, White Rabbit and Somebody to Love, the album Surrealistic Pillow Featured My Best Friend by former drummer Skip Spence. Ballads, driving blues rock songs, Plastic Fantastic Lover, and 3/5 of a Mile in 10 Seconds. And the Ballen-Kantner Ballad Today. A reminder of their earlier folk incarnation. These guys were awesome. The guys were influenced by Jimi Hendrix, Cream, and they put out a few albums that were a lot stronger and harder music. At that point, things are starting to change. In mid-1968, the group was photographed for Life magazine story on the New Rock, appearing on the cover of the June 1968 edition. They undertook their first major tour of Europe in September of 1968, playing alongside the Doors in the Netherlands, England, Germany, and Sweden. And of course, they always had their little run-ins with the Doors. And Grace Slick was later said to be romantically involved with Jim Morrison. So there we go with that. Hot Tuna began during a break in the Jefferson Airplane schedule while Grace was recovering from throat surgery. April 1969, their next album, Volunteers, using a new 16-track facilities in Wally Heider studio in San Francisco. This proved to be the last album by the classic lineup of the group. The album was terrific. A few days after the band headlined a free concert in New York Central Park in August 1969, they performed in what Grace Slick characterized as the morning maniac music slot at the Woodstock Festival, for which the group was joined by noted British session Nicky Hopkins. When interviewed about Woodstock by Jeff Tamarkin in 1989 or 1992, Paul Kantner still recalled it with fondness, whereas Grace Slick and Spencer Dryden had less than rosy memories. So there they go. A few years later, they break up, and that takes the group out of this together. So they split up, they move in, and like I said, one portion becomes Hot Tuna, and the other portion becomes Jefferson Starship. Now, Jefferson Starship put out several albums. They had some really, really good songs. And let's see what Jefferson Starship, let's see. They had Pete Sears, David Freiberg, Paul Kantner, Marty Ballen, Grace Slick, Craig Shikiko, and John Barbada. They had some good songs. They had a song that came out called Miracles. And it was a fantastic song. Then they had another song that came out. I believe it was from their Spitfire album. Yes, it was from their Spitfire album called With Your Love. And those were a couple of the best hits that they had. And then we got to a point where Grace Slick decided it was time for her to bow out. They then brought in Mickey Thomas, who had been singing with Elvin Bishop, who had done the 1973-74 hit Fooled Around and Fell in Love with the Elvin Bishop group. And they had a couple of other hits. They had Jane, which became a big hit. Then they changed and became Starship. And that basically eliminated most, if not all, of the original members of Jefferson Airplane. Then Grace Slick did rejoin them for a short time. But that is about it for that. Let's see. let's see. Then I just want to cover the album names if I've got those here. And I think that I do. Let's see. I don't have the album titles, but I want to name the groups, name the members of Jefferson Airplane. That was Paul Kantner, Jorma Kaukonen, Marty Balin, Signe Tolley Anderson, who died in 2016. Paul Kantner also died in 2016. Marty Balin died in 2018. Then there was Bob Harvey, Jerry Peliquin, Skip Spence. He died in 1999. Jack Cassidy, Grace Slick, Spencer Dryden. He died in 2005. Joey Covington died in 2013. Papa John Creech. Papa John Creech. Does that name sound familiar? Well, you're talking about an old blues guy on violin and vocals. He was there for a couple of years, 1970-72. He died in 1994. And John Barbada and David Freiberg. Now, as they went into the Jefferson Starship, what they ended up with, and they still do some playing as Jefferson Starship. David Freiberg, Donnie Baldwin, Chris Smith, Kathy Richardson, and Jude Gold. Albums that came out were Dragonfly, Red Octopus, and Spitfire, and Earth. Freedom at Point Zero, Modern Times, Wind of Change, Nuclear Furniture, Window of Heaven, and Jefferson's Tree of Liberty. They had some awesome music that came out, and I am so glad that I had the chance to listen to these guys an awful lot. And I just wanted to see if there was anything that I could find. Now, there was a film made about Jefferson Airplane in 2004. They released a DVD. It covers 1965 to 1972 and includes then recent interviews with band members and 13 complete songs. The movie was called Fly Jefferson Airplane. Fly Jefferson Airplane. So you can take a look for that, and it would be a blast just to take a look at it. And if you were a Jefferson Airplane music lover, I'm going to be playing some of their songs on today as I go and take a look and add some music to my music channel. So this is Charles Coachman. This is Bay Area Let's Talk. It's Friday, March 12th. I wish you a very good weekend and enjoy the music. God bless. Bye.